Hi children, I hope you're all well and spending your time by studying and also by watching the videos and also gathering knowledge of different things from different sources. Here, today we have the biology of class 7, chapter 2, the kingdom of classification 1. So here we have to discuss in the beginning what is classification and why is it necessary. To introduce the chapter, I must say the surface of the earth is full of diversity of various objects around it. Various objects. And so, to introduce the chapter, let's see the surface of the earth. As the earth was born, nobody knows actually how did the earth had taken birth or how is the solar system has formed. There are several theories out there on which we are based. First thing is that very old theory is the Big Bang theory, where the huge explosion had occurred and different pieces of ball of fire had been scattered in the space, and in course of time they have cooled and formed the masses which are well, the Big Bang theory says there was a huge explosion and all the parts of the ball of fire were scattered into space, and in course of time they have cooled down and formed different planets, satellites, natural ones, and asteroids and all those. Well, many years had passed slowly and gradually the earth had cooled, and the first life on earth is observed in the form of the goseratids, and that was being experimentally proved by Miller and also by the great Alexander Oparin, the Russian scientist. So after all this has been done, the surface of the earth had unique diversity of the organisms, and then it was very difficult for the experts also to keep them under their control and to study properly and to group the organisms systematically. The thing were taken by different scientists. Earlier, the Greek philosopher and the scientist and the great guru of the great King Alexander the Great, the Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, he tried to classify the whole organisms. After that, there are many people who tried to classify it, and then there were many differences had come. To make them in a common system, they have taken the similarities and the differences and all of it. Then, in came Darwin, he also tried a little bit, and finally, Alfred Hutchinson and Carolus Linnaeus were the people, those who had made the classification. So Carolus Linnaeus was also the inventor of the binomial nomenclature. Whatsoever it is, classification is required for the nice and grouped study of the organisms. So the advantages of classification is that we can study them well. Otherwise, in haphazard way, we cannot keep them in our mind. Well, the second one is that plan for classification. When the plan for classification had come, then the scientists have given this plan. At first they have classified the objects into kingdoms, and from the kingdoms to phylum, and from the phylum to class, and from the class to order, and from the order to family, from the family to genus, and from the genus to species. Well, so this is how it had come, and all this when it was going on. In 1969, R.H. Whittaker, the scientist who had proposed a complete classification where he had considered 5 kingdoms, and this classification is known as 5 kingdom classification. So this 5 kingdom classification was done in 1969 and by R.H. Whittaker, and they are as follows. Well, children, we have come to know in 1969 R.H. Whittaker had taken a project to classify the all organisms in 5 kingdoms, and this is popularly known as 5 kingdom classification by Whittaker, or commonly 5 kingdom classification. Here is the chart given for the 5 kingdom classification. In 5 kingdom classification, first kingdom is Monera. Now, what are the characteristics of the Monera? These organisms are unicellular. You know the unicellular, these organisms can be have only one cell, and mostly definitely microscopic. So they can be seen through the microscope. They are unicellular, single cell organisms. Then they lack a well-defined nucleus and other cell components. They are having no complete cell function. I mean function, but they are not having cell components. Well, cell components. They have a cell wall. They are sometimes autotrophs. That means they can make their food by themselves. And also there are some species which are heterotrophs. That means they depend for the food on the other organisms. We are also heterotroph. We depend for our food to the other organisms like plants, and also to the other animals. They are like that. Well, the second group, the kingdom of Protista. In kingdom of Protista, unicellular organisms, they are also unicellular, single cell, have a well-defined nucleus, but they have very well-defined nucleus. And then autotrophs and heterotrophs, both of them are there. They can make their own food by themselves, or they can go and collect food. Heterotrophs actually collect food. So that is also there. Well, the kingdom of fungi is the third group, where unicellular or multicellular organisms have a well-defined cell wall. Heterotrophs, they are no autotrophs, they are heterotrophs, occur in damp and moist places. Occur in damp and moist places. In some cases, they occur on the dead and decayed objects also. Alright, so they are the fungi. And next group is a group 4, which is kingdom of planting. There are diversity of plants on the surface of the earth. There are various plants on there. We don't even know about all of them till today. And now this is classified in kingdom of planting, and they are multicellular organisms. They are not single cell, they are multicellular organisms. And then have a well-defined cell wall. They have well-defined cell wall, and that is one of the best characteristics of them. And they are mostly autotrophs. Most of them having green pigments, so they are autotrophs. They can make their food by themselves using the sunlight and whatever the decarbonate is, the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and mineral and water from the soil and etc. So they are the autotrophs. But the last group is the kingdom of Animalia. We belong to the kingdom of Animalia. All the animals, like from microscopic animals to the huge, large blue whale or a mammoth or whoever it is. The largest animal on the surface of the earth is the blue whale. And they are also in this kingdom of Animalia. Now, what kind of organisms are there? They are multicellular. Definitely, there are many cells in the body, and multicellular organisms do not have cell wall. The animals do not have cell wall. They have cell membrane, so they don't have cell wall, and they all are heterotrophs because they rely or depend on the food for the other organisms, especially on the planting group of the plants. So they are depending on the plants, and they are heterotrophs. Why are they heterotrophs? Because they feed on the collected food, and this collected food is also known as the staple food. S-T-A-P-L-E, staple food. Staple food, they are called staple food. What food are they? They are staple food. Okay? They are collected food or staple food, because heterotrophs, they collect the food. Suppose I am a heterotroph, you are also a heterotroph. What you do? you collect the food from the plants. From the plants you get paddy, wheat and all those. From that we convert them to rice and wheat, etc., etc. And then we can pluck the fruits like mangoes, guavas, apples and all those, and we can munch them very nicely. And also we can eat the consumers like goat, hen and all that. Then we take meat from them. We can also get the fishes from the rivers, ponds, geese, lakes, whatever it is, and we can eat them. So all these we cannot produce in our body. So we are collecting them from the different sources, either from the plants or from the plant eating animals or from the other sources. And then this is known as the staple food. What food? Staple food. Food which is collected. So they are the staple food. So that is how the 5 kingdom classification stands for. Now, I am going to explain you the kingdom wise. First one, what we see about the Moneda. Then we will discuss about the kingdom of Protista. Then we discuss about the kingdom of Fungi, because there are some special characteristics also. I will explain this all. Kingdom of Plantae and then kingdom of Animalia. What we see, that will be expressing now. Well, let us study first the kingdom of Moneda. Now in kingdom of Moneda, what we have observed, the kingdom of Moneda, unicellular primitive organisms lack a definite lack of well-defined nucleus and other cell components, have a cell wall and then autotrophs and as well as the heterotrophs. And you know autotrophs means they produce the food of their own, and heterotrophs means they collect the food and have it. So kingdom of Moneda has only bacteria in its as members. So Moneda has only bacteria as members. What are they? Bacteria. Now what the bacteria is? Bacteria, the singular is bacterium. So this bacterium in plural is bacteria. And they are single celled plant. That means unicellular plant. Oh, you are not telling it the other things like that plant. How do you know that this is a plant? You might ask me this question. Well children, by the characteristic of the bacteria, what we have observed through the electron microscope, that we have come to know, they have a rigid cell wall. What are they? They are rigid cell wall. And this rigid cell wall is the sign of the plant. So they are unicellular, minute, tiny plants. Those are the bacteria. So bacteria is the home in which the kingdom of Moneda possesses all the bacteria. And they are the most abundant microorganisms on the earth. You can get the bacteria anywhere, inside your mouth, inside your system, in any places, in the air, in the moist places, anywhere you can get the bacteria. And mostly, not all the bacteria, but some of the bacteria are very useful to us, and some are definitely harmful. So let's see what is the third one. They are smallest, hence visible only through microscope, and a teaspoon full of curd contains millions of bacteria, because their size is 0.02 micron onwards. What are they? 0.02 mu. That is called as a sign mu. This means 1 mu equals to 1 by 1000 of a millimeter. 1000 of a millimeter. So it is very, very small. Very, very small. And even today, the SEM, scanning electron microscope, projects them to get the smallest bacteria into 1 centimeter square. So that is after 5 lakh times of magnification. Can you imagine? If my body is projected 5 lakh times, it will be a huge one. We cannot see through. But for a micro, a very small bacteria, that if it is 5 lakh times increased by SEM, what is it? Scanning electron microscope. Then you will see they are only 1 centimeter square. 1 centimeter square is not a big one. But so much of magnification has been done. That means the 5 lakh times. So if it is normal, then what it is? We we cannot see in our naked eye. That is the group of Monera. And then they found almost everywhere, I told you about, even inside your mouth, in the stomach and everything. And there, some of them are very harmful, some of them are useful for the human beings as well as the different animals and plants also. Now structure, bacteria are unicellular, that already has been spoken. They are prokaryotic, that means primitive, incomplete cell holding. Prokaryotic cell, incomplete cell. Eukaryotic cell, complete cell. So they are having prokaryotic cells. That means the cell components, lack of specified nucleus and the other components are there. So their cell is prokaryotic, primitive, incomplete cells. Then bacteria are also the lack of membrane-bound organelles such as the mitochondria and the chloroplast. In their cell, there is no mitochondria and chloroplast. These are the cell organelles which are present in higher animals and the plants as well. So that is not there. Alright, the next thing is that they are microscopic and smallest is more plentiful on the earth. That is numerous in number. You cannot uncountable in number. Now most of them have a rigid cell wall. I told you that is a sign that the bacteria is a microscopic plant. That is for the rigid cell wall. It shows that they are the microscopic plant. And at last, they are known as the decomposers. In here, the bacteria decompose. When the dead and decayed objects fall on the surface of the earth, whether it is a plant or an animal, what happens, you know, the bacteria, they work on it and they disintegrate all the cell matter slowly and gradually by releasing some enzymes, and so that they are mixed, recycled in the surroundings, that means on the surface of the earth. And you know, there are some bacteria who can break the nitrogenous matter of the body, plant body or animal body, dead bodies or the decomposed bodies into the air. So they are known as denitrifying bacteria. What are they known as? Denitrifying bacteria. On the other hand, there are some bacteria there who can fix the nitrogen from free nitrogen from the air and can make the soluble nitrates and nitrites for the plants, which are a good nutrient for the plants and allow them to develop. Well, let us study about the shapes of bacteria. The bacteria are round or spherical, whatever you say, rod-like, comma-shaped, and also spiral. So they are classified in the following ways: coccus, bacillus, vibrium, and the spiralium. The coccus is a spherical shape and their plural is cocci. And then the rod-shaped ones, that is bacillus, they are rod-shaped or cylindrical bacteria, and they are coccus, and they are the bacillus. So plural is bacilli. Coccus, plural cocci, bacillus, plural bacilli. And then the third one is vibrium. Vibrium, the plural is vibrium, and then they are comma-shaped, like Vibrio cholera, the cholera causing bacteria. It is look like a comma shape there. And then we have the spiralium. The spiralium or spiralium is the bacteria which are zigzag shaped or spiral shaped. The nutrition of bacteria. So bacteria have various foods of nutrition. Some of them are autotrophic, that means they can make their own food. They synthesize their own food from inorganic substances, and they are called the photoautotrophs or chemoautotrophs. Photoautotrophs, that means they can break their food from the sunlight, in the help of sunlight. And chemoautotroph, that means they are using the chemicals to make the food as well. The majority of them are heterotrophs. In heterotrophs, the bacteria, that is, they do not prepare their own food or depend on the organisms, that is, dead and decayed organisms, and for their food. The reproduction. The bacteria usually reproduces by binary fission. What is binary fission? Suppose there is a bacteria here. Suppose there is a small bacteria. At maturity, they will just divide, reducing, and slowly and gradually they will be divided like this to form two bacteria. So this is known as binary fission. What is known as binary fission? That is dividing into two daughter bacteria. So binary fission. Binary fission. So they are the binary fission. The other way of the reproduction in bacteria is found is the spore formation. The spore formation is very rare in the bacteria, but that is done when the conditions are unfavorable and when they are to undergo the system and finally they come out active, so that they do the spore formation. The harmful and useful bacteria, are known as the pathogens. What are they known as? They are known as the pathogens. The harmful bacteria are known as the pathogens. Pathogens of the bacteria, that is the harmful ones. Harmful bacteria are there, and so the pathogens are the harmful bacteria, so that they live in bodies of the host organisms and cause diseases by producing waste products called the toxins. The toxins are what? The toxins are the chemicals which causes the poisonous matter inside the body and which causes different kinds of diseases and disuniformity of the body. That means the malfunctioning starts with them. Here's the table given. Bacillus bacteria causes the anthrax in the animal, and Clostridium tetani causes the tetanus. The Clostridium botulinum is the Helicobacter pylori is gastroenteritis of the pancreatic disorders that is being made, and then number 5, the Listeria monocytogenesis is the listeriosis, and then Mycobacterium tuberculosis causes the tuberculosis of the TB, and then we have the Mycobacterium leprae is causing the leprosy, and Streptococcus pyogenesis causes the tonsils and the stiff throat, and very common cure of that, the juices of lemon is mixed with lukewarm water and drinking, that can cause the cure of that. And Streptococcus pneumoniae is causes a dangerous disease called pneumonia, the disorder of the lungs. The Salmonella typhi causes the typhoid, and Treponema pallidum is the syphilis, is a very dangerous kind of disease, used to be earlier, but with the invention of the penicillium, that is penicillin, by the fungi Penicillium notatum, it has come to an end, and that cures, penicillium cures 31 kind of diseases of its own when they are injected to the human body. Well, Trio cholera, the comma-shaped one, causes cholera in the humans, and Escherichia pestis is the Bubonic and Pneumonic plague. It was earlier a very, very dangerous disease. Plague used to be spread by the rats and the mice, but now there is a nice treatment for the plague is there. So Bubonic, whatever the plague is there, we can take them and we can fight them very nice. Well, there are useful bacteria also there. You know, you eat curd. Curd is made up from the milk. Now you know, there is bacteria which is known as Lactobacillus acidophilus, and they convert the milk into curd, and curd is having more food value than that of the plain milk. So that is done, that is one useful bacteria. And the useful bacteria, Lactobacillus, I told you, and Bacillus and Penibacillus, and they play important role in the fermentation. Fermentation is a process where the alcohol is produced, and that is done by this bacteria. Pickling, that means what you call in achar in Hindi, or in Bengali it's called achar. That has been done by that. Preparation of antibiotics. Antibiotics are those, medicines which can cure lot of diseases. And antibiotics is a shield for the human immunity. The shield for the human immunity. Genetic engineering. And you know, the genetic engineering, that one gentleman called a great man, Dr. Johann Mendel, he had given the heredity and genetics. He was told as the father of genetics. But right now, the genetic engineering actually has been started really by an Indian scientist but American citizen, whose name was Dr. Hargobind Khurana. And this Dr. Hargavin Kurana has shown the new part of the genetics, the genetic engineering. Even he had gone to the gene chart and all those and speaking that the weak genes may be replaced. So this is all the experimentation. He got the Nobel Prize also, and he is known as the father of modern genetics. Well, who was the father of genetics? The Mendel, Johann Mendel. Who is the father of modern genetics? Is the Dr. Hargavin Kurana. And we are a little bit proud, though he is an American citizen, but he is Indian, absolutely Indian. Alright. Production of the biofuels, etc. Biofuels like gobar gas and all those. You see, in the villages, the cow dung and all the wastes are put in a pit, and as the pit is filled, they are covered with something, and there is a system by which the gas comes out, and this is known as the biogas or the gobar gas or the gobar gas. Now, there are some useful bacteria which inhibits the growth of the pathogenic bacteria controlling pH level. That is the Beta-bacterium. Second is the Bacillus and the Pen-bacillus preparing the antibiotics. Cyanobacterium, the nitrogen fixing in the aquatic habitat. And Escherichia coli adds the digestion, helping staying inside the body of the organisms. And Lactobacillus acidophilus supports healthy digestive system. Lactobacillus analogous species helps the formation of milk to yogurt, what you say, the curd. Yogurt, the curd, lactic acid and acetic acid bacteria making the probiotics that help the digestion related problems. And the rhizobium is the plural, fixes the atmospheric nitrogen including the ammonia and makes available for the plants. And last is the Streptomyces, using in antibiotics play an important role in the soil ecology is there. And you know the Streptomycin is another bacteria which actually caused the cure of the tuberculosis of the TB, which has been cured right now. Well, we'll enter in the kingdom of Protistas, second kingdom, that is Protista. What are Protista's character? Unicellular organisms have a well-defined nucleus. They are autotrophs and heterotrophs both. When you see the features, Protists are primarily aquatic, live in aquatic habitats, that is live in water and watery habitats, and in lakes, hills, seas. A few of them are terrestrial, which stay on the land. And then the kingdom of Protista includes the single-cell eukaryotic microscopic organisms. What is eukaryotic microscopic organisms? That means their cell is complete. Nucleus is complete, cell components are also complete. That is why they are eukaryotic ones. And they have membrane-bound organelles. Now you see, we have the organelles like mitochondria, which is the power of the cell. We have the plastids, which gives the color. And then there is another in the plants, and in others like lysosome and all those, they have the membrane bound. Inside the cytoplasm they stay, but they have double membrane structure so that they are safe and all those and do their functions properly. So, endoplasmic reticulum is the one. The organisms, the examples are the Paramecia. Paramecia is called animal cooler. They look like a sleeper, and they have cilia surrounding their body by the cilia. The movement of the cilia, they can go from one place to the other. They can make a circular current by which they can feed and can catch their prey. That is Paramecia. And the Euglena is having a long thread-like structure which is known as flagellum. And if there are two, there will be flagella. But their flagellum is there, and by which whip-like structure they move, or also they make the water current and they do locomotion and all other things. The another very common example is amoeba. And amoeba is an amazing creature. There's a single cell one, and it's nutrition. Now see amoeba and its nutrition. I'll show you the amoeba and its nutrition. And there's a cell, a nucleus here. And this is. Now see, this is amoeba. This is one single cell organization. Organism as well as organization. What I am telling about the organism and the organization? Because this unicellular organism, does all its living activities or cell activities by only one cell, like that of catching food, digestion of food, throwing the excretory matter, locomotion, that means moving from one place to the other, as well as reproduction and breathing or respiration, everything is done by that. So it is having a surface which is known as cell membrane, cell membrane or plasma membrane, through which the oxygen and carbon dioxide is coming in and going out. That is for respiration. Now, amoeba moves with the help of the false food, which is known as Pseudopodia, This is called as Pseudopodia. Singular is Pseudopodia and the plural is Pseudopodia. Whenever they find any prey, they shoot out their body and make the Pseudopodia and engulf the organism in it. And as they engulf it, the magical thing is that they close this, and as they close this, slowly and gradually the inside wall is degenerated and a food vacuole is produced. What is produced? A food vacuole is produced. And as soon as the food vacuole is produced, they do what? They release the enzyme to digest it. But you know, as you eat also food, all the things are not digested. Some things which are undigested, that you have to, get through outside the body. So they are in need of something. So the food vacuole changes into the contractile vacuole and bursts to get out the object out of that. Suppose you are taking a food and some undigested food is there inside your intestine. What will happen? Your stomach and the intestine will burst, and whatever the excretory matter will be scattered. Is it possible? No, my children. It's not possible in human beings and other animals. But amoeba, as soon as they procure their food, they make a food vacuole. Inside the food vacuole, they digest the food. And again, as the digestion is finished, the food vacuole changes into contractile vacuole. And then it starts blinking. Tick, 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 no sound, but like that they are blinking. And after blinking, at the extreme, they suddenly burst. And the breast bursts out, and the excretory matter goes into the water, cleaning. And the cells naturally is maintained. They are easily maintained. And again, they go for the other ways. So this is locomotion in amoeba by shooting out the pseudopodia. And this locomotion is for the protoplasmic movement. What protoplasmic movement is it? It is known as Sol and gel movement. They are scientists, Sol and gel, who observe this, and after they name the movement of the protoplasm during the throwing and closing of the pseudopodia in amoeba is known as Sol and gel movement. Well, let us see what amoeba does for the other thing also there. So, digestion, aspiration of food, digestion, all I have explained about it, and the locomotion I told you, they throw the pseudopodia, move out, and the protoplasm also moves with it, and the new positions they are. Now respiration, amoeba respires. I told you the gaseous exchange occur through their body surface, which is known as the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. The oxygen is taken in from the atmosphere and the carbon dioxide is there. So that is how they do. The reproduction. Amoeba reproduction is very common. That is in binary fission. I told you, explained you, their reproduction is by binary fission. What is binary fission? I told you. The cell, when it is mature, they ultimately form a ring and slowly and gradually detaches themselves into two daughter nuclei. And that is called the, reproduction by binary fission. Where there is another kind of reproduction is existing there, which is known as multiple fission. Now in multiple fission, here in binary fission, they divide into two daughter cells. But in multiple fission, what is happening, the amoeba, they suddenly get unfavorable condition when they undergo in cyst formation, CYST cyst formation, and there they remain. They are the remain for the favorable conditions to come. But you see, the time when they stay in the cyst, They are not quiet. They are dividing the cell into multiple numbers. That means uncountable numbers. And when the favorable conditions come again, they break the cyst out and many amoeba comes out. That is known as multiple fission. That means they are dividing themselves into many a number. Well, children, now let's go to the kingdom of fungi. We'll study the kingdom of fungi right now. So, we'll study the kingdom of fungi right now. This is the kingdom where the unicellular or multicellular, both kind of organisms are there, and they have a well-defined cell wall, and most important is they are heterotrophs. They are not autotrophs. They cannot make their food by themselves. So they are collecting the food in different ways. Well, and then occur in damp and the moist places. Moist means what is in Hindi called bhiga or little bit dampy, weighty places. And then another thing is that they are sometimes decomposes. The saprophytes, because they have the saprozoic nutrition. Alright, let us see in the kingdom of fungi. The fungi are non-green multicellular plants, and they lack chlorophyll. And as they lack chlorophyll, they are not autotrophs. Definitely, they cannot make their own food by their own, heterotrophs in nature, and they show either parasitic or saprophytic. Parasitic means they live on living hosts. Now you see, you children, sometimes you have ringworm on your body. You see the patches occur, itching occurs, and the spots are there. So this is known as ringworm. So ringworm is nothing but the cause of the fungi. The fungi comes and sits on your skin, and they make their home and life cycle there. That is the ringworm. That is one disease. Another disease which occurs inside your nose. There are two padded tonsils are there, and these two padded tonsils are attacked by a bacterium, by a fungi called polypus, and this polypus causes a dangerous disease, and they eat up all these inside the nose, and the blood and the pus that comes out. So now I think there is a treatment for that. Earlier it was a surgery used to do through the nose, they used to cut the soft parts and used to do that. Right now there are nice treatment has come out for this. As parasites, fungi draw the nutrients from the plant where they stay. Fungi stay on some plants also, as well as stay inside the animals also. So they live in there. The types of fungi. The fungi may be unicellular, multicellular, or filamentous, means filament-like, thread-like. And then, depending on their shape of fungus, three as well as the types of fungi are there. The thread-like fungi, like bread mold and all, club fungi, that is mushrooms and all, and sac fungi, that means the yeast. These are the three kinds. So bread mold is a very, very common example of fungi with club-shaped one. You see, you take a piece of bread, what is called in Bengali is called pavoti, or in Hindi what is called? Like that, I think something. So that bread is kept moist, little bit of moist, and in a dark place. After 1 day or 2 days, you see the velvety structure appears. Creamish blue kind of color appears in the bread. And you see, those are nothing but the rhizophus. And this rhizophus fungi, and the body of the fungi is known as the mycelium. What is known as? Mycelium. And there is root-like structures, though they are not common roots, their root-like structures are known as the rhizobium. And the rhizoids, they are called the rhizoids, and the rhizoids can suck the matter from the substratum and they can send it. Well, they have their head swelling where they keep the spores, and this is known as sporangium. In sporangium, the spores are kept, and during the maturity that breaks and comes out as the spores which help them to give the new generation. Nutrition. Rhizophus is saprophyte. It means it depends on the nutrition obtained from the dead and decayed material. The decayed material means the bread that is already decayed, so bread mold, they easily take the nutrition from there. Well, these tubers contain the cytoplasm that flows along the wall. The fungi secrete the digestive system or digestive enzymes, and then finally they dissolve it. Well, the respiration, the more so the aerobic respiration. That means they need air to respire. There are two modes of respiration is there. One is anaerobic respiration, another is aerobic respiration. In aerobic respiration, they take the mood by which they can do exchange. And fungi, there are some useful fungi are there, and there are some harmful fungi are there. I read it out as the fungi, useful fungi are there. Like bacteria, fungi are also nature's scavengers. They decompose the things, recycle, help to recycle. Well, some species, mushrooms, are the source of food for the human beings, like the button mushroom and all those, which are tasty food for the human beings. Number 3, yeast is commercially used as making breads, or by fermentation they make the alcohol and all those. So yeast is very common and useful fungi. Alright, now next is, yeast is used in manufacturing vitamin B1. Yeast is also an important role in preparation of the acids such as bucolic acid and the citric acid. And fungi are widely used in the preparation of some medicines and antibiotics. For example, the Penicillium notatum, I told you, Penicillium notatum is a medicine which can cure 31 kind of diseases, and it is a boom. Earlier, gonorrhea, syphilis, like that, STD means sexually transmitted diseases were not cured. But right now, by the invention of the penicillin, it is cured, and that is done by Alexander Fleming. Well, some fungi are used to prepare the cheese. So that is what is they do. The harmful fungi, there are many harmful fungi out there. I explained it, that the ringworm causing fungi, the polypus causing fungi, and all those. Like right now, the chart is like this. The diseases, aspergillosis, a lung disease caused by Aspergillus niger, the ringworm, trichophyton, and ear infection, Aspergillus flavus, the mental disorder by Lipomyces neoformans. And again the disease of fruit rot of apples, the Parnospora species, early blight potato, the Alteroria solani, and the red rot sugarcane, that is Clostridium falcatum, and loose smart of wheat, that is Stillagio nudactric, and the brown leaf spot is Helminthospodium ralli. Except for that, Puccinia gramis is another which is not there in your book, which causes the wheat disease. And see the range of the Puccinia, that they grow in the top of the mountain and go to the plains of the Punjab by wind, and they cause the disaster in the wheat fields in the Punjab. Well, next kingdom is the kingdom of Plantae. That means the kingdom of Plantae causes the multicellular organisms, and they have well-defined cell wall, and mostly they are autotrophs because they possess the green pigments. And kingdom of Plantae includes the multicellular organisms. They are eukaryotes, definitely their complete cell is there. That is the each cell, nucleus and membrane bound cellular organisms. Cellulose containing cell wall occurs around the cell, and they have well-defined cell wall. Mature plant commonly possesses a single large central vacuole bounded membrane, which is known as chloroplast. And then in all the plant cells are double membrane covered cell organelles called plastids, and plastids are the organelles which is responsible for the color. There are leucoplastid, chloroplastid, and chloroplastid is there. Chloroplastid is for the green pigmentation where the chlorophyll is there. The leucoplastid is the white one, stays in roots and all, and the chloroplastid are having the colored ones. In chloroplastid there you find the xanthophyll for ear coloration, carotene for ear coloration, and anthocyanin for the other coloration is also there. The body of the plants are irregular due to the presence of the branches. The various examples of the plants include such as the algae, chlorella, multicellular forms such as the ficus, sargassum, the laminaria, and the plants such as the mosses and ferns, and trees like mango, coconut, and deodar are also there. And mango are the angiosperm because their seeds are enclosed in the fruit. We are discussing the kingdom of Plantae, where we have already spoken to you. There is autotrophic mode of nutrition is there. in which the chlorophyll is used, and along with the sunlight, carbon dioxide, and the minerals also dissolved in the water. That is there. And the various examples of the plants include the unicellular alga such as chlorella, multicellular forms such as the fucus, and then the plants as mosses and ferns, trees like mango, coconut, etc. is also there. And I told you that the mango is an angiosperm where the seeds are enclosed in the fruit. So they are having enclosed seeds, where the other type of plants who are the gymnosperms like pine, like cycas and all, they produce comb. That is, they are not enclosed in the fruit. So they are the naked seed ones. Right now, we move to the last kingdom, which is known as the kingdom of Animalia. The kingdom of Animalia, here you see the multicellular organisms, and they do not have any cell wall. And obviously, they are the heterotrophs. We include in the kingdom of Animalia the other organisms like the animals, cow, dog, etc. We are also in the kingdom of Animalia. There are several classes and also are there. So it is all consisting of multicellular organisms. The lack of cell walls, the animals are heterotrophic, and I told you earlier also. Growth of animals is limited and stops, and after reaching the maturity. So the animals having a certain age where they are matured and then they will grow, like the plants forever till the day. Well, animals generally possess a different shape, size, and symmetry. Symmetry means the division of the parts up. Suppose we human beings have the bilateral symmetry. If we cut our body through this, we'll see one part of nose, ear on ear, half of the teeth, half of the tongue, the limbs, and all those are there. So that is called bilaterally symmetrical ones. They call a bilateral symmetrical one. Animals generally possess different shape and size. Also, then the most animals are mobile. That means they are locomotive, they can move. Some definitely are not mobile, like sponges. And see, in the sea they are there, and they also are attached to the substratum. That means at the bottom. The movement occurs in animals with the muscular system and formation of the conveyed to different parts of the body with the nerves and all. So muscles, and also there are some organisms which are having bones and muscles, both are responsible for the movement, and the animals have organization of cell, that is in the cellular organization, that ranges from cell, tissues, organs, organ systems, and coordination of all organ systems makes the organism. And so that is there in animals, and we have the reproduction in various ways. That means the reproduction in animals mostly by egg-laying way or by the giving birth to the direct ones. So, except of that, there are some other kinds of reproduction is also there. So, that concludes the whole system of classification as in a very brief manner, and I think classification 1, chapter 2 has been understood by you very nicely. And right now, let us discuss some of the questions and answers for you. Some of the question answers are as follows. Let us first discuss this. Well, in Kingdom of Classification, in your book, page number 38, there are some questions there. As fill in the blanks, I'm discussing you the answers. Please just concentrate and then fill in the blanks. 1 in page number 38. First answer will be kingdom, first blank, and the second blank will be the species. Then, in question number 2, the filled blanks will be against species. Number 3, R.H. Whittaker is the name, and then number 4, Monera is the word as the answer. Number 5, plantain, and number 6, the animalia, and they do not have a cell wall. This is the answer for fill in the blanks in page number 38. Well, to children, we have something more to discuss to you. As like in your checkpoint, page number 41, we have the true false. Here, the first question is question number 1 for true false. That is true. Question number 2 it is false. Question number 3 is 2, and question number 4 is false, and obviously question number 5 is 2. So these are the checkpoint answers and questions which are discussed to you. Now let us move to another checkpoint, which is page number 43. Here the questions are there. This is also true both. Kingdom of Protista include the multicellular animals. That is false. Multicellular organisms, that is false. Number 2, Protista reproduce asexually by binary fission and sexually by cell fusion. That is 2. The process of obtaining food by amoeba is called the photosynthesis. It is false. And then in amoeba, respiration takes place through the plasma membrane, that is the body surface. It's 2. And amoeba is prokaryotic organism. That is false. So these are the answers. Let us see in your exercise what is there to be given. There is a checkpoint, another one in page number 47. There you see the match the column is there. Number 1, the answer will be B. Number 2, the answer will be A from the column B. And number 3, the answer will be E. Number 4, the answer will be C. And number 5, the answer will be D. So these are the checkpoint answers which have been discussed. Right now, we will enter into the exercise. Well, children, we have in your exercise of the CH-2 chapter, there is question E of 5. The question is, how does amoeba reproduce? This is the answer. The amoeba reproduces by binary fission, which is asexual reproduction. In binary fission, what does the amoeba do? At maturity, the amoeba divides into 2 daughter cells. So that is called binary fission. The next question what to discuss is the long answer type of question, question number 2. Explain the different types of shapes found in bacteria with the help of the diagram. Now you see, now question number 2, long question answers. Depending on the shape, bacteria are of 4 types. Bacteria are of 4 types. Number 1, they are coccus. Plural is cocci. The shape is spherical, means round shape. That is the shape. Second one, bacillus. Bacillus, plural is bacilli. Their shape is rod-like or cylindrical. And then the third one, in which you get the vibrio, plural vibrio. It is a comma-shaped one. The common example is the Salmonella typhi, and then the Vibrio cholera, the bacteria of cholera, and then number 4, the spirillum. Spirillum is the plural is the spirula, and the shape is spiral. Shape is spiral. So these are the 4 kinds of bacteria with their diagram is shown. Now the question number 5: the differences between the kingdom of Plantae and Animalia. There are the basic differences of the kingdom of Plantae and Animalia has been discussed over here. The kingdom of Plantae, they have multicellular plants, eukaryotes, that is complete cell walls, the cellulose containing cell wall, the vacuole bounded by a number of cell called membrane of cells called the protoplast. This is known as the protoplast. Earlier also explained. Number 5 contains the chlorophyll. Number 6, autotrophic nutrition, that means they can make their food by their own. And then body is irregular. As the plants are having branches, so their body is irregular. They are not having proper shape, so irregular shape. And the examples are the algae, chlorella, unicellular ones, and fucus, the multicellular one. Except of that you can get the mango tree. It's a huge one, but it's angiosperm. Its seeds are closed, not naked. Why? The pine and the cycas, these are the plants where the seeds are naked, directly seeds are produced. They are the gymnosperms. Well, while the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom are having this characteristics. Number 1, they are multicellular organisms. Number 2, lack of cell wall, they don't have cell wall. Directly cell membrane is there. They are heterotrophic in nature. The nutrition is heterotrophic because they are collecting the food and eating. They cannot make the food of their own. Their growth is limited. Up to a certain stage of life, they can grow. After that, they cannot grow. Well, the next is have definite shape, size, and symmetry. You see, I am a human being and you are a human being. If you cut this body through this, you will get all organs on the right side, all the other ones on the left side. That is, we are bilaterally symmetrical. There are other symmetries also there to follow. Now we have most of the organisms are motile. They can move from one place to the other. The next is movements by muscular system. We have the muscular system and by which we can move. And the last one, the organization is cellular, and the cellular organization consists of cell, tissue, organ and organ system, and all of them are coordinated together to give the new generation. And this is all, I think, for your discussion of the question answers, and all the question answers of the exercise that you can get in our website www.bsnes.in. Till today, this is all. Thank you and have a good day.